The ancient country of Yinfeng, Yindu. Yindu is the city of Emperor Yin, the first emperor of the ancient country of Yinfeng. There is also another palace here, Yinong Palace. Emperor Yin and Yinxiong are both god kings born in the earliest period of the entire royal family. They both walked similar paths, but Yinxiong has been trapped in the second level of god king and cannot go any further. Deep in the ancient Yinxiong Palace, a vast world was opened up. In the vast world, there are volcanoes everywhere in this world, and there are also howling black winds. The black winds swept countless magmas to the sky and scattered them wantonly. This Luo River. The entire world continent suddenly sat up straight. It looked like a humanoid monster with countless volcanoes on its back. Its nostrils breathed naturally, forming a violent black wind. Its golden eyes were even more terrifying. On the world membrane wall of this world, countless secret patterns are flowing, and invisible energy descends to cleanse the body of this huge, strange beast again and again. Is a guest from the Chaos Realm worthy of entering the infinite space? The huge beast's single golden eye was filled with anger. Emperor! Emperor! The huge, strange beast spoke directly. Countless secret codes flowed on the membrane wall of the world and naturally condensed into a figure who was the contemporary emperor of the ancient country of Yinfeng. The emperor looked at the huge beast, sighed secretly, and then said, "Brother Yinxiong, what do you want to see me for?" "I met Luo He in the infinite space." The huge beast's voice was rumbling, and its might was many times stronger than that of the infinite space. How could he, a non-royal chaos realm, enter the infinite space? I suspect that Emperor Chu violated the rules set by the ancestor. You misunderstood Luo He, Di Fu, Emperor Fu said. He got the beast, sighed secretly, and then said, "Brother Yinxiong, what do you want to see me for?" "I met Luo He in the infinite space." The huge beast's voice was rumbling, and its might was many times stronger than that of the infinite space. How could he, a non-royal chaos realm, enter the infinite space? I suspect that Emperor Chu violated the rules set by the ancestor. You misunderstood Luo He, Di Fu, Emperor Fu said. He got the opportunity based on his own strength. How could he, a chaos realm transcendent, get a chance on his own? Said the huge beast. Your true body is imprisoned here, and you are concentrating on refining your primordial bloodline, and you know too little about the outside world. Emperor Fu said, I have been learning about the intelligence of the powerful outsiders. Is there anything I don't know? The huge beast retorted. Emperor Fu shook his head slightly. Luo He had fought for some rare treasures in the border area hundreds of centuries ago, forcing the Thunder ancient country to give up a quota to enter the infinite space in exchange. Luo He participated in the fight for a long time with the absolute strength of chaos transcendence. The Thunder ancient country could not bear it. Emperor Fu said. So he really relied on his own chance to win. The huge strange beast was silent for a moment. So that's how it is. The negotiation and transaction between the Thunder ancient country and Luofeng was very secretive and had never been made public. Rely on yourself, the huge beast sneered. He was able to participate in the border dispute as a guest of our Yinfeng ancient country, and to make the Thunder ancient country suffer such a big loss. If he was an idle chaos realm outside the Yinfeng ancient country, he would not even be qualified to participate in the dispute. The huge beast said, if he gets such a benefit by relying on the status of a guest of our Yinfeng ancient country, he should give the quota to the royal family. At most, he can be rewarded. The emperor was silent for a moment, looking at this elder of the clan who was once quite wise and prestigious. Brother Yinxiong, have you not noticed that you are becoming more and more deeply influenced by the Hunyuan bloodline? The emperor said, I used the formation to help you suppress the pollution, but you are still so irritable. If there is no formation to assist you, you will probably lose control. The Yinfeng ancient country claims to the outside world that those who practice the Hunyuan bloodline are not out of control, but in fact, those who fail to reach a sufficient level of clarity will never be released. I am very sober. The huge beast looked at Emperor Fu. We are the royal family. We are so powerful that we occupy the best resources of the origin continent. We are very kind to allow the guests to exchange for inheritance resources. The emperor's eyes turned cold. The huge monster was startled and realized that it had been reckless. Emperor, I helped you before. The huge monster looked at Emperor. Brother Yinxiong, I have always remembered your kindness, so I have been helping you. Di Fu said, I helped you build this world. I gave you many treasures and resources, and I always hoped that you could stay sober. We also give them such freedom. In my opinion, the guests should obey the orders of our royal family when they enter the treasure land. Ordinary guest officials have enough freedom. Emperor Fu said, you should know that the guest official system was established by the ancestor. Once it's set by the ancestor, it must not be changed. The rules set by the ancestor countless years ago are always right? The huge monster was furious. I also need. The huge monster was about to speak. You already owe the tribal lot. The emperor denied. You borrowed a huge amount of resources to impact the level of the emperor, but you failed, and you can't repay the current resource debt. And you keep asking for more, Brother Yinqiang. You should understand, the royal family is not just you, and it is impossible to give you all the resources. Are you willing to give it to Luo He and his guests? Are you not willing to give it to me? The huge beast was unwilling and angry. Being imprisoned forever was naturally uncomfortable. You owe the tribe a lot, Difu said, and the guests like Luo He are exchanged according to their merits, and they don't owe the tribe anything. I remind you again that the guest official system was established by the two ancestors. You are absolutely not allowed to question it. The emperor looked at the huge beast. You should also understand that in the eyes of the ancestors, your life and death are probably no different from the life and death of a guest official. The huge monster became more and more angry. Of course he knew. The royal families fought in the origin continent, and some god kings fell, but the ancestor did not intervene at all. Refine your mind well. You can ask Emperor Mo for advice more often. If your mind and will can catch up with Emperor Moth by 20% or 30%, you would have been able to suppress this pollution, stay absolutely sober, and become a new emperor. Emperor Fu said, in the entire origin continent, in this reincarnation era, Emperor Mo ranks first in mind and will. It's not shameful to bow down in front of him. I have already bowed my head and asked him for advice. The huge beast became more and more crazy, but he humiliated me again and again, asking me to serve him, to be his follower, to be his gatekeeper. How can I endure it? You also humiliated him before, said the emperor. He was weak at that time, said the huge monster. In his opinion, you are weak now, said the emperor. Reflect on this carefully. In my opinion, your only chance to become an emperor is to ask the Emperor Mo for advice. After saying this, the emperor disappeared. The two ancestors. You are absolutely not allowed to question it. The emperor looked at the huge beast. You should also understand that in the eyes of the ancestors, your life and death are probably no different from the life and death of a guest official. The huge monster became more and more angry. Of course he knew. The royal families fought in the origin continent, and some god kings fell, but the ancestor did not intervene at all. Refine your mind well. You can ask Emperor Mo for advice more often. If family's tyranny and would just keep his distance from them. Fortunately, we are in infinite space, and the difference in strength between everyone is not that big. If it were in the outside world, I'm afraid he would just slap me with his palm. Luo Feng thought with a smile. According to his intelligence, God King Yinxiong is a very ancient god king of the second level. It is said that he has also turned to cultivating the Hunyuan bloodline. Combined with the resources, weapons, and secret treasures of the royal family, his strength is unimaginable. Haha, ask him for advice? Even if I am imprisoned forever, or even disappear in the future, I will never be humiliated by him again. The huge monster became more and more crazy. Emperor is in the world he created. The royal family, who have been favored too much by the first ancestor, still feel that they are not getting enough. They even want to take away the pitiful little given to the guest officials. The emperor shook his head gently. This group of fools, do they really think that the first ancestor cares about them? The ancestor was born several reincarnation eras ago. How much affection can there be between two ethnic groups separated by several reincarnation eras? The emperor shook his head slightly. Treasure land, infinite space. Luo Feng didn't care about the royal family's tyranny and would just keep his distance from them. Fortunately, we are in infinite space, and the difference in strength between everyone is not that big. If it were in the outside world, I'm afraid he would just slap me with his palm. Luo Feng thought with a smile. According to his intelligence, God King Yinxiong is a very ancient god king of the second level. It is said that he has also turned to cultivating the Hunyuan bloodline. Combined with the resources, weapons, and secret treasures of the royal family, his strength is unimaginable. However, God King Yinxiong is very low-key in the origin continent and rarely shows up. Many ancient beings are hard to come across in the outside world, but you can encounter quite a few of them in infinite space. Luo Feng also thinks infinite space is very interesting. In the infinite space, everyone is given an ordinary God King level body. Want a stronger body? You need to open up your own path to practice, but so far in the infinite space, I have never heard of anyone opening up a path to reach the second level of God King. Therefore, everyone's physical body is generally at the first level of the Divine King realm. Only the mind and will may be quite different. The mind and will of Emperor Ming is truly terrifying. Luo Feng could not help but think of Emperor Ming. After being in the infinite space for so long, the mind and will of Emperor Ming was the only thing he was sure was absolutely beyond the ultimate realm of the God King. It is so vast and completely superior, that is a qualitative difference. Luo Feng suddenly sensed a spiritual creature in front of him. Lucky, I found one. Luo Feng had 9 clones who were investigating separately, and they went to wherever was remote. He was not too tiring. As long as he discovered a spiritual creature, he would immediately arrange a clone to occupy the area. If one avatar only occupied one spiritual creature, it would not attract the attention of the big forces. But in fact, when Luo Feng's multiple avatars scattered around are added together, the total number of spiritual creatures they occupied is quite high. Of course, this kind of thing can only be done if you have many clones. In infinite space, there are very few newly opened roads that can use clones. In the eastern region, inside a magnificent ancient palace, a woman in green was sitting there, and a vast formation naturally appeared in the palace, with countless secret patterns flowing in the formation, which was constantly changing. The emperor is truly amazing. He can reach the level of an emperor simply by relying on the formation. I am still far inferior to him. The green, clothed woman exclaimed. She suddenly looked at one of the changing secret patterns in the formation. Oh, this part of the secret has finally been deduced. The Wuxiang God King shouted Luo He's name in the palace, and just happened to disappear from the infinite space. His disappearance is related to Luo He. The Wubian of the Shadow Heaven realm died in battle, and the cause of death was also Luo He. The Lord of Shadow Heaven actually endured it? There was no follow-up major movement? This Luo He is unusual. The woman in green observed the formation. She could use the formation to reflect many traces of the origin continent and deduce them by the formation and know many secrets. The more traces of the world she reflected, the more accurate her deduction would be. Perhaps I can invite him to join my side? An idea came to the woman in green, and she immediately deduced with the formation. She saw the formation reflecting the world, just like the future evolution of the world. Although I can't see it clearly, it seems to be a good decision. This Luo He seems to be favored by the supreme rule. The green-clothed woman was a little surprised. She had long known that the supreme rule also had preferences. The more dazzling and brilliant the practitioner, the more favored he would be. Even like the world beasts, they are born to be favored and can smoothly reach the ultimate realm of the God King. The more they destroy and devour, the faster they grow. Ordinary practitioners are all ordinary at the beginning, but gradually the outstanding ones will be selected among them. Since he is favored by the supreme rules, he must be invited. The woman in green had a thought in her mind. While she was still in the same place, a thought had already descended upon Xiangjie city of the ancient country of Yinfeng.